The core-periphery interpretation and the drain theory are both critical frameworks, often associated with dependency theory and economic nationalism, that explain how powerful economic centers can develop at the expense of subordinate regions or nations. The drain theory is a specific historical example and concept that strongly aligns with and provides evidence for the exploitative mechanism described in the core-periphery model. 1. The core-periphery interpretation of trade and development. The core-periphery model is a spatial and structural framework that divides the global economy or a national economy into two distinct parts. Feature: core regions, the center. Periphery regions, the hinterland. Development: highly industrialized, urbanized, technologically advanced. Less developed, rural, technologically dependent. Economic role: focus on high-value manufacturing, services, finance and innovation. Focus on raw material extraction, agriculture, and low-skilled, low-wage labor. Trade pattern: exports high-value, price-inelastic finished goods. Exports low-value, price-elastic raw materials/primary products. Resource flow: attracts capital, skilled labor and technology. Supplies loses raw materials, unskilled labor and profits. Key theories: World Systems Theory, Wallerstein, Dependency Theory. Core mechanism: backwash effects. The core-periphery model suggests that the relationship between the two regions is exploitative and unequal. The initial advantage of the core is maintained and amplified through a process known as cumulative causation (Myrdal) or polarization effects, which include backwash effects. The growth of the core negatively impacts the periphery by drawing away its vital resources, leading to the drain of wealth, labor and capital, a process known as the drain. Unequal exchange. The terms of trade between the core, selling expensive finished goods, and the periphery, selling cheap raw materials, continuously favor the core, transferring value from the periphery to the center. 2. The drain theory. The drain theory is an economic critique of colonial rule, most famously articulated by Dadabhai Naoroji in the context of British India. Core mechanism and components. The theory states that a portion of the national wealth of a colonized country is being systematically transferred to the colonizing power without receiving any adequate economic return or quid pro quo, something for something. The drain constituted a unidirectional transfer of resources that impoverished the colony and fueled capital formation in the colonizer. Key components of the drain from India to Britain included home charges, payments made by the Indian government to the British government for administrative, military and pension expenses in England. Interest on public debt, payments on loans raised by the British government on behalf of India. Remittance of profits, repatriation of profits by British companies operating in India, e.g., railways, plantations. Salaries and pensions. Salaries and pensions of British civil and military officers paid from Indian revenue and remitted to Britain. This economic drain prevented the accumulation of capital in India, severely hindered domestic investment, and contributed to widespread poverty. 3. Relationship and synthesis. The drain theory is a historical validation of the process described by the core-periphery model, especially at the international global scale. Concept: nature of relationship. Core-periphery model, theoretical framework, describes the structure of global inequality, where core countries like colonial Britain specialize in high-value activities and dominate periphery countries like colonial India. Drain theory, historical mechanisms, evidence, details the specific financial and economic channels, home charges, profit repatriation, through which the core systematically extracted wealth and capital from the periphery during the colonial era. In essence, the core-periphery model provides the macrostructural explanation, unequal specialization and spatial power, while the drain theory provides the micro-level detail, the mechanisms of wealth transfer, that shows how the core accumulates wealth at the periphery's expense.